What we're looking at here is an apple peeler called the Improved Baystate, made by the Goodell company. The way that it functions is there's a crank handle here that runs this wheel, and it's got teeth on the inside that drive two different shafts. So the bottom shaft is basically a screw that engages with a little star right there, and that drives this portion that has the peeler head and the slicer. Peeler head has spring tensioning, and there's an adjustment right there where you can pull the cotter pin and turn that wheel and get different tensions on this. The upper shaft is also driven by the internal teeth on this gear, and that rotates the apple. So you put the apple on and it pushes this pin in and resets the pin ejection mechanism. What that'll do is kick the apple off at the end of the cycle. So to begin, you load the apple on, and then you flip this cutting assembly up, and there's a little latch here that makes sure that it stays engaged. And when you start rotating, the little star under there will engage the screw assembly and start to advance it. What's neat about this is they've taken advantage of the frame shape to help this peeler head ride up and over the profile of the apple. So when it hits this portion here, this bottom end will actually come out and follow the shape of the apple. It helps it go around the shape more effectively without cutting right into the middle. So as you turn it, the apple is spinning against that cutting head and getting sliced at the same time. When it reaches the end of its travel, this little latch here is going to hit the bottom of this lever, and what that'll do is push these rings over and push the ejector pin out. We'll go in slow motion here. You can see the lever starts to move, and then the ejector pin, that little shiny bit there, pushes out, and it's done with the cycle. So if this thing was mounted on a cutting board or something in your kitchen, it would actually be rotated a few degrees this way, and gravity would have this assembly fall back, and you just kick it back over, load it up, and put your next apple on. So there you have it. That's cutting edge technology from the 1870s, 1880s. When this apple peeler arrived, it was covered with a lot of surface rust. So what I did is I used some vegetable oil from the kitchen, and you can't tell my wife about that, but poured it out in a little cup and then used a paintbrush and brushed it on, and then used brass wire brush to get some of the loose rust off. And it forms a nice protective layer on the outside. And that way I don't have to completely restore it, because it'll lose all of its character if I strip it down and sandblast it. Also, when I bought it, it was missing the ejector pin set up here. So I used a little coat hanger, and you can see there's a little groove in here. And the way that this works is there's an ejector pin portion here that goes through the forks and just has a simple bend on it. And then there's a second ring that's connected to the lever arm on the back. So what happens is you put the apple on, and it resets the mechanism because the core pushes in here. And then as the latch runs its route across here, it comes against there and pushes that out. So it's a really simple mechanism. This was part of what they call the improved design. The initial ones didn't have this, so you'd have to reach in and pull the apple off yourself.